Hey everybody, it's Leanne. Today for in season, we're talking about sweet corn. It's that time of year where it's in abundance, so I hope you take advantage of it. Today we are going to make a corn salsa, show you how to microwave corn if you're not comfortable using the stovetop, as well as freezing corn. So for corn salsa today, you need 4 ears of corn, about a cup of diced tomatoes. If you don't have fresh tomatoes, you always could use a can of diced tomatoes, a can of black beans, some garlic, and again you could use the chopped garlic that comes in a jar, cilantro, jalapeno if you like, salt, pepper, some limes, and a red pepper. So what I've done is empty the can of black beans into a sieve, or you could use a colander, and then we're just going to rinse it under water, get rid of all those canning juices. So literally we just have the black beans. Alright, then we can let that drain for a minute and our beans are ready. So then we want half a red onion finely diced. Okay. So a good thing to kill some of that strong onion is to take your onions and put some cool water over them. And then just let them sit 10 minutes. That'll help get rid of some of that sharpness that burns your eyes in the onions, and we'll then drain it and add it to our salsa. Next, we're going to dice up a red pepper. And again, if you're not a fan of cilantro or you don't like red pepper, by all means, just omit them or leave them out. So we're just going to dice up our red pepper into a small dice. Okay, so as you can see, we have a small dice. So for the cilantro, you want a half a cup of chopped cilantro. So take the leaves off the stems. And you're going to use about half a bunch. With the other half, if you're not familiar with cooking with cilantro, you could definitely dry it and use it at a later date. This time of year is great because you can get all the vegetables fresh and really ripe, where other times of the year you may use canned corn or fresh corn or canned tomatoes in place. Okay, so I have my cilantro leaves here, and we're just going to do a rough chop. If you kind of get them in a pile. And then just keep working at it to get it to a finer chop. Okay, so I've got my garlic minced up. I'm going to put that in our bowl. So that's 1 teaspoon of garlic. I have a little more than a cup of diced tomatoes. Half a cup of cilantro. Again, if you aren't a cilantro fan, just leave it out. And I've got half of a red pepper. We're going to add in our black beans that we've rinsed. And then we've got our corn. So then for the corn salsa, we need about 2 cups of corn. So that is considered about half a cup that you get off each cob. So I have 4 cobs here from what we had last night for dinner. We put it on the grill, so I'm going to use that. If you're not comfortable cutting corn off the cob, definitely you could use canned or frozen. The thing you want to make sure of is that you have a good handle and it's not sliding around. So I just cut the bottom so it's flat, and then just run your knife right alongside and I always do it in about 5 different segments here. Okay, so you get pretty much down to the husk, and your corn will be in chunks. So I'm going to continue to cut all our corn. Squeeze some lime juice. So you can either squeeze it out by hand or put it in one of the citrus presses. And we're looking for a 1/4 cup. So depending on the size of your limes, you're probably going to need at least 2. Okay, so there I have my lime juice. I'm going to add that in to our salsa. So then we're going to add our seasoning. So I've got a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I got a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, a 1/4 teaspoon cumin, a 1/4 teaspoon chili powder, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika. So we're going to give that a stir. And I didn't add a jalapeno in here just because the people that are going to be eating this tonight don't necessarily like spicy. But by all means, if you like spicier, hotter, I encourage you to put that jalapeno in there. So there you have it, fresh corn salsa. It's got a little bit of a kick to it, so I did not add the jalapeno pepper, but if you want it definitely hotter, do that. It would be great with as a side dish or with tortillas as a snack. Also, I plan to roll it in with burritos. So I hope you give it a try. So for microwaving corn, really all you need is the corn on the cob and a piece of paper toweling and a microwave. So the first thing you want to do is peel the husk off your corn. Get it all the way down to the bottom and then break it off. And then there's all these little strands that are called silk, and those just pull off. Okay, so there you've got your corn on the cob. Then what you're going to do, get all that off, is take your paper towel and roll it up. What essentially you're doing is trying to keep the steam in the corn while you microwave it. So for each corn that you want, roll it up in a paper towel, and you're going to cook it 2 to 3 minutes per corn. Okay, so it's been 2 minutes and our corn is microwaved, and I can tell by the top kernel there it is cooked, so enjoy. So to get the kernels off the cob, what you want to do is cut the end so you have a flat surface. You could also, some people use a board with a nail to hold it upright. There are utensils that you can use to push down on the cob and remove the kernels. I just use a knife, so I hold the cob at the top, the very tip. Make sure I have a firm hold on it and a flat surface so it's not going to slide around. And then I just spin it around and take about 5 swipes with my knife and just kind of saw back and forth as close to the cob as I can get. So you want to make sure you always label what's in there. So, corn should be fairly easy to know what it is, but sometimes you wonder what is in your freezer. So it's always good to put what's in it and the date that you're freezing it. So for freezing corn on the cob, you want to get your kernels off your cob and then take a freezer bag. Make sure you got a thick plastic bag specifically designed for freezing. And then you're just going to place your corn in there. I like to use a smaller, I've got a quart size bag, just so I'm freezing it in smaller quantities. Okay, so I have all the corn in the bag, and I'm going to flatten a little bit. What you want to do is get as much air out of your bag as you possibly can. Okay, and then just for convenience sake of stacking them in the freezer, flatten them a little bit, and then it's all ready for the freezer. So you'll have fresh corn on the cob to enjoy anytime you want.